The gunman marches over to us, money in hand, fed up as all hell. He's about to hit me with his gun when something catches his attention outside. A slab of sweat drops from his throat. The police are outside, but they have no idea what's happening inside the bank. The gunman bursts through the doors of the bank and is on his way towards the road. He stumbles and drops the gun towards the entrance, but decides to keep going without it. Then, for some reason I'll never understand, I run out, picking up the gun along the way. When I cross the road, I lock eyes with the gunman. He tries to run, and I swear I have no idea I'm firing a gun until I step forward and I hear the glass shatter. Sirens arrive, the cops put handcuffs on him and lead him away. As he passes, I hear him say, "You're a dead man. You just wait. Remember what I'm telling you. Remember it every day when you look in the mirror. A dead man." A few days later, I'll get the first message. It changes everything. Meet Ed Kennedy, a 19-year-old cab driver who likes playing cards with his friends, and that's about it. Ed doesn't have any life goals or prospects, and no one really expects anything from him, especially himself. But when Ed starts receiving mysterious ace cards in the mail with addresses and times on it, he is sent on a journey to change the lives of those around him, in turn changing his own. In I Am the Messenger by Markus Zusak, and according to an article from the Scientific American in 2013, we see that our lives are constantly a work in progress, and our identity is not static, but can be changed and shaped by the choices we make. Before I even mention me, I should tell you some other facts. At 19, Bob Dylan was a seasoned performer in Greenwich Village, New York. Salvador Dali had already produced several outstanding artworks of paint and rebellion by the time he was 19. Joan of Arc was the third most wanted woman in the world at 19, having created a revolution. And then there's Ed Kennedy, also 19. Cab driver, no real career, no respect in the community, nothing. Constantly I'm asking myself, well, Ed, what have you really achieved in your 19 years of life? The answer's simple, jack shit. I'm a bit of an unfit bastard, though I'm lanky and lean, and decidedly crap at sex and doing my taxes. Just weak, too. The gunman's words make me think of my life, my non-existent accomplishments, and my overall abilities and incompetence. A dead man, I think. It's not far wrong. It's a Tuesday evening when I get home from work and pull the mail out of the letterbox. There's a small envelope. I reach in and pull out an old playing card. It's the Ace of Diamonds. 45 Edgar Street, midnight. 13 Harrison Avenue, 6 p.m. What could I have done to get an old playing card in my letterbox with strange addresses on it? You never know, I tell myself. One day people might say, yes, Dylan was on the brink of stardom at 19, Dali was well on his way to being a genius, and Joan of Arc was the most important woman in history. And at 19, Ed Kennedy got that first card in the mail. First up is 45 Edgar Street. It's nearly midnight when I turn onto Edgar Street. I make it to the street's end, where number 45 is. Half an hour passes, and a man comes stumbling up the road, drunk. He trips up the porch steps and struggles with the key a little before going in. The door slams. Light materializes in the bedroom, and I can see the shadows through the trees. The woman is standing up in her nightie, but the hands of the man take her and pull it from her, hard. He has her by the arms. Fear has me by the throat. Next, he throws her down to the bed and undoes his belt and pants. He has sex with her, and the bed cries out in pain. It creaks and wails, and only I can hear it. When it finally ends, the woman emerges and sits on the porch. She's got her nightie on again, torn, and she has her head in her hands. One of her breasts is prominent in the moonlight. At one point, she holds her hands out, forming a cup. It's like she's holding her heart there. It's bleeding down her arms. I almost walk over, but instinct stops me. I'm not here to comfort this woman. That won't stop it from happening tomorrow night and the night after that. It's him I have to take care of. It's him I have to face. I'm driving my cab later thinking, it has to get better than this. My first message, and it's a bloody rape case. So, being the coward that I am, you guessed it, I went to 13 Harrison Avenue instead. The only person there was an old woman. She was in there on her own, sitting and eating and drinking tea. I think she ate a salad and some soup. And loneliness. She ate that too. Her fly screen door is torn at the edges. I open it and I knock on the wood. Her footsteps climb to the door. She looks up at me, and for a moment we both get lost in each other. Then she smiles at me with such incredible warmth and says to me, "I knew you'd come, Jimmy." She steps toward me and hugs me hard, her soft, wrinkled arms encasing me. This is much better than Edgar Street. I'm feeling good. Her name's Milla Johnson. She's 82. The message this time is to soothe this old lady's loneliness. One day, she asked me to read her favorite book to her, Wuthering Heights. There was a piece of paper that was in the book, used as a bookmark. It was just a normal, thin piece of pad paper, all old and yellow. The date said January 5th, 1941, and there was one small piece of typically scratchy male handwriting on it. It said, "Dearest Milla, my soul needs yours. Love, Jimmy." That night, I go out walking with my dog, late. We go down to the cemetery, and we see my father, and wander through the rest of the graves. We walk almost half the cemetery, and find a few Johnsons, but not the one I'm after. Finally, my flashlight slaps a stone, and it's there. James Johnson, 1917 to 1942, died serving his country, beloved to Milla Johnson. No other man has entered her life, not the way her Jimmy did. She's been waiting 60 years for her Jimmy to come back, and now he has. I guess I was taking too long to revisit Edgar Street because I found a gun in my mailbox. There was only one bullet in the gun, one bullet for one man, and this is when I feel like the unluckiest person on earth. This has gone too far now. I can't kill anyone. For starters, I'm a coward. Second, I'm weak. Third, the day of the bank robbery was obviously a fluke. No one's ever taught me how to use a gun, but I know. It's him I have to face. This is the only night I can carry out my plan. One night with the gun, one night with Mark, and one night with the cab. Sooner than I hope, it's close to midnight. The difference tonight is I don't go down to Edgar Street. Instead, I stay closer to the bars on Main Street. And closing time, one man isn't going home. I pull up beside him and call out, "You need a lift, mate? Come on, you look to be in a pretty bad way there. I'll give you a free one." At that, he smiles and spits, and then comes around to the passenger side. The gun is in my right jacket pocket. The card is in my left with a flask of doped vodka. I put a lot of sleeping pills in it. I pull the vodka out of my pocket and hand it to him, and he grabs it without a second thought. He says nothing, but keeps drinking as I drive past Edgar Street and circle west, back towards the end of town. When I finally cut the engine, we're alone in silence. I get out of the car and I open the passenger door. I beat him with the gun in the face hard. He's momentarily startled, tasting his own blood from his nose and mouth. "Get out." I have the gun pointed exactly between his eyes. He's still groggy, but his eyes grow wide. I walk him up the hill with the gun grinding into his back. "This will go straight through your spine, and then I'll leave you here. You feel like dying? You deserve it, I can tell you that much." He falls down, but I follow him hard with my knees. A sound rises from the ground. I realize it's the sound of a man sobbing. Tonight, however, I don't care. I have to kill him because this man kills his wife little by little every night. And it's me alone, Ed Kennedy, a less than ordinary suburbanite who has the chance to end it. Now, I got chosen to do this to you. I've been watching what you do to your family, and it's going to stop. Sweat slides down my face. The trigger sweats across my finger. My shoulders ache. A moment of peace shatters me, and I pull the trigger. Mr. Edgar Street boarded a train to some old mining town and never returned. I think it was a shock to him that he was still alive. I'd shot at the sun, but of course it was too far. At the time, I wondered vaguely where the bullet had landed. In my cab later, I see the ace on my seat. I catch myself in my rearview mirror, and suddenly I remember the gunman's words. "You're a dead man." In a flood inside me, I see the woman with her heart in her hands. I go by the name of Jimmy to a marvelous old woman. I relive each, and I feel alive. I am not a dead man. I am Ed Kennedy, underage cab driver, local deadbeat, epitome of ordinariness. And if a guy like me can stand up and do what I did for those people, maybe everyone can. Maybe everyone can live beyond what they're capable of. And that's when I realize, in a sweet, cruel, beautiful moment of clarity, I'm not the messenger at all. I'm the message.